Hey everybody, I'm John. I collect cards. It is Monday night, August 14th. Hope you're all doing well. I finally got in, after about 2 full weeks, a little over actually, my SGC order. The first of 2 actually that I dropped off at the National. This is the batch of 12 cards that I did a video for about two and a half weeks ago, maybe almost 3 weeks ago. And showed what I was sending in. They're all vintage cards, and I also dropped off, see how quickly I can take this off without making a ton of noise. I also dropped off 5 other cards at the show that I picked up there. And so I'm sort of calling this a sort of submission number 7 part 1 and submission 7 part 2, and we'll call it a sequel, if you will. Those hopefully will be in later this week. They are still in receive status as of today, Monday, and I dropped them off Saturday at the National, which was a little over 2 weeks ago now, so it's been 11 business days. Hopefully they get back this week. I'm kind of expecting that I'll get the grades tomorrow. Here we go. Finally got this out of there. Got 12 here. The oldest one, as you can see, is from 1954 Topps. I'll try to run through these as quickly as I can. I did go through every card in a prior video. I'm kind of also offering a, just move the little receipt out of the way, kind of a hoped for grade also for these. And we'll start it off with, I do know the grades, by the way, as I don't do blind reveals, but I'm eager to share these with you this time. I'd say overall, I'm a pretty happy vintage collector after this batch of grades. They weren't all awesome, but none were huge surprises negatively, and there were a few very positive surprises. So let's dive right into it here, starting with the first of 3 1954 Topps cards from a complete set. Getting the Hall of Famers graded. This is Monty Irvin. I was hoping for a 4, I believe, on this one. Thought I had a good shot at it. It's got one. I'm in a new spot here, dealing with the glare best I can, but and this one's in the bag, so hopefully the others won't be as bad. Had this one little lift issue here. Hoping for a 4. Came back a 5. I was pretty happy about that. As you can see, it does look pretty good. The centering's really nice on this. So very happy for the 5 on this. We'll move right along. Next one up was Duke Snider. Duke Snider, Brooklyn Dodgers, was hoping for a 4. Thought maybe a 3.5 was more likely. The corners on the bottom are a little softer than maybe I thought maybe a 4 could possibly maybe secure. I thought I had a chance. Here's what they did. Look at that. They got a 4.5 on it. So very pleased about this one. This was one of the pleasant surprises here. Just up close again, the corners on the front. I mean, overall they're pretty good, but they are a little soft. But I think the centering, it's been my experience with my submissions, especially in the last like 3 or 4, that really nice result there. Happy with that a lot. I think SGC really rewards centering. That's been my experience. If the card is well centered, it's going to, like, you're going to sort of see it reflected in maybe a bonus of some kind. That's just the way I interpret it, but just my experience. But here's a case where the centering wasn't great on this one. This is the third of my 54 Topps. Again, I'm doing the Hall of Famers. I only got about 7 or 8 left after this submission. This is Hoyt Wilhelm, number 36 in the set. Here's a case where the corners are pretty good, quite good, and it was a little upper right, sort of off center in 2 ways, but not severely. Was hoping for a 5 and got the 5. So what do you know? This was you could sort of tell it's not egregiously off center both ways, but it is a little up to the right. But a really nice card, presents beautifully. This was one of the first named cards, probably the first Hall of Famer I got for the set, and I bought this at my LCS one day before I was even thinking of doing the set. But this was one of the first cards I got it going, so really happy about this Hoyt Wilhelm. Okay, now we're going to go to 1955 Topps. I got one card from this set in my sub. This is a Ken Boyer rookie. Bought this one off an eBay auction with the intention of grading it because I do think he's going to get kind of another look for Hall of Fame consideration someday when his the next time his Veterans Committee comes up, or his group of retired players comes up for consideration. I was hoping for a 5 on it. Thought I had a chance, but the corners were a little soft. I mean, semi-soft, I guess you could say. It was a pretty nice card. But I did pay out the door close to 50 for it raw, so I'm in for about, I guess 60, 60 or just over, since it was only $15 a card with the national take-home promo that they did, the SGC did, and that's why I submitted as many as I did here, because the savings was pretty good. I was hoping for a 5, got a 4.5. So, here's one card where after, in for 60 plus, sort of seeing what the recent comps are for this card. Probably a little under on this one by about $10, but I'm still very happy to have it slabbed, and if he does make it into the Hall, this will be a nice to have kind of a thing, but at the same time, it just looks great. I think maybe what cost it the 5, it's probably just a little too off-center to left. These you can sort of see that there's definitely a difference there. Also, there's a little speck on his hat. It's a little bit of a, kind of a loss of color there. That kind of sticks out a little bit as well. But overall, it's a really nice card. And what's really cool about the 55 set is that cards 123, 124, and 125 are all, well, if Boyer gets in, they'll be all Hall of Famers. The other ones are, oh gosh, I can't remember who they are now. People are going to have to correct me on that because I'm not an expert on the 55 Topps, but I know Killebrew is one of them, and then the other one is either Koufax or Clemente. I can't remember which one it is. But moving on, 1957 Topps, Dodger Sluggers. This is a great card. I knew this was one of the 2 weakest cards in the sub, even though it's a beautiful card on the front, just a great group shot of 4 Boys of Summer. It has a crease down going across the card, as I'll show you in a second. It's really more of a, it's a crease that doesn't really come through on the back, which was why maybe I thought it had a chance for 2.5. 3 was probably ambitious to think for, but I thought a 2.5 maybe was possible, because while it did go fully across, it didn't go through on the back. But SGC decided to give me a 2 on it. But that's okay, because it's just a beautiful card, and it looks fantastic in a slab, and really you have to, I didn't tell you where the crease is. If you watched my last video sharing them, you probably know or remember, but you could probably catch it there. It's going right down Gil Hodges. So if you sort of see the left edge of his hat there, you can sort of see the crease going all the way down the card. But it looks fantastic in this slab, and I'm so glad I got it in a tux. It deserved to be in one. Moving on, we got 1960 Topps, and we got, speaking of Mr. Hodges, we got his card here. This was one of the stronger cards condition-wise in the submission. Forgive me on the glare, guys. If I'm in a new spot, and eventually this is going to probably be my new location, but we're sort of in moving things around in the house right now with just got the basement reno done, and it's great and love it. But the room we're here, I'm gonna be eventually doing more videos in. We still got a lot of stuff to clean out of here. But Gil Hodges, was hoping for a 6 on it. Got a 6.5 on it. Pretty psyched about this one. It's a great looking card. It's not one of his best cards in terms of composition. I mean, it's, a nice enough portrait, a headshot of him, but there's barely any shoulders in a head and shoulders shot. And, it's a pretty standard first base, I guess, secondary pose. 1960s, not my favorite set. And it actually, I think, is my first 1960 card to have graded. But I'm really happy for the 6.5. Really happy about that. Next up is the first of 2 1961 cards from Topps. Yogi Berra MVP. Was hoping for at least a 5 on this. I thought it had a good chance. Centered pretty well. It's got some black print ink marking, like kind of like print snow, I guess you can call it, even though it's in black. The red background for this card is not probably as red as it should be, but overall it's a really nice card. I thought it's worth the submission, and I was hoping for a 5. Wouldn't you know, I got a 6 on this. Pretty happy about this one. This was among the bigger pleasant surprises in this probably the second or third biggest pleasant surprise. Yeah, it just looks really good, and just like with the black in the tux, with the red, it just pops. So that just looks fantastic. Really happy about that. You can tell the centering's good, corners are good. Got a couple of fisheyes and some of that black marking, but present more fisheyes up there. Presents really well. So very happy about that one. And then I have a second year Willie McCovey from 61 Topps. This is a really nice card with the exception of a scratch on the card. It's a pretty deep one, and it's right near his face. And maybe it just touches his face a little bit too. So that's the reason why I got a really good deal on this on eBay, probably about 2.5, almost 3 years ago. Out the door, I remember I looked it up recently, paid less than $20 for this card out the door for a second year McCovey. He is so undervalued in the hobby. Along with Frank Robinson, have got to be 2 of the biggest named Hall of Fame greats that are undervalued. Anyway, I was hoping for a 5 on this one because, aside from the scratch, it's a really nice card, and they did give me a 5, so I was happy about that. It's a smidge off center left, but there's that scratch right there. I'll bring it up close a little bit so you get a better look at it. You might be hearing one of my cats howling in the background. I apologize for that, but you know, if he's providing additional entertainment on the side stage, so be it. Really nice second year McCovey. Great pose, great shot. Happy that that's in a 5. I've got 4 left here. 4 cards to go. This is the most like wild card kind of interesting part of the sub, I'd say. This is a 1964 Topps Venezuelan Lou Pinella rookie, along with Mike Brumley. This is my first Topps Venezuelan pickup. I thought it would be cool to have one, and I'm like, you know, let's get it for a person who I think has an outside chance to get in the Hall of Fame as a manager this winter when that umpires, executives, and managers group gets voted on to see who might get in the Hall next year. I think Pinella's got a shot. Maybe it's an outside shot, but a shot. So I thought, you know what? Let's look into him. I was hoping for a 2 on this because even though it's got a crease on it and it has some glue stuff paper on it, I thought maybe it could sneak a 2 because the front of the paper is in still pretty good shape because the Topps Venezuelans, the cardstock really fades. If you just look at comps, you can see what I'm talking about on that. But I got a 1.5 on it, fair, and that's okay. This was one of my other slight disappointments, and as a result, I'm probably currently a little bit underwater on this one by maybe $10 or $15. But you know, I'm actually okay with it because, again, it's taking a shot on a player who could get in the Hall at some point, which, you know, it's not a really big roll of the dice. All things considered, I probably paid. It was about 35 or so out the door, I think, for this. And so I'm in for about 50 or a little less. And a couple of comps I've seen recently for this are in the 30s, even slabbed in this grade, actually. So, but that's okay. It looks really cool. And, you know, I'm a Yankee fan. Grew up with Pinella on those late 70s, early 80s Bronx Zoo era teams. So, just like having this one. So, very cool. And it's my only Topps Venezuelan. So got 3 more to go. Here's an iconic card. 1968 Topps Bob Gibson. Just a portrait shot of him, and a nice portrait at that, but it is from his historic season. 1.12 ERA, struck out 17 in Game 1 of the World Series that year, I believe, to set the record, which, gosh, I think it still stands. Correct me if I'm wrong if that doesn't stand anymore, but I think it does. Maybe it doesn't. I honestly can't remember. Was hoping for a 5 on it. It's a little off-center to the bottom, and it's got a little bit of a peel issue that actually doesn't come across that much on here. And maybe that's the reason they gave me a 5 on it. So I was happy with this one. I thought maybe it was going to be more of a 4, 4.5 because of the centering down there. It's also a little that way as well, a little left. But again, here's another example. It presents well. It's a nice 5, I think, overall. So very happy about that. 2 more to go, and they're both pretty big, I'd say. One's a 1970 Topps Thurman Munson rookie. Was really excited to get this one graded since I picked it up in my LCS. I was hoping for a 6 on it, and then the more I looked at it, because I had it for a few months before I finally got it into SGC, I thought maybe a 6 was going to be a stretch. I thought maybe a 5 is going to be more in line of what it'll be. It is off center, a little bit left. It's got it's a little dirty down the bottom right there. Not extremely so, but a little bit. The overall card presents really well. I got the 6. So I was pretty happy about this, considering I PC Thurman, one of my top favorite players of all time. Definitely in my top 3. Even though I only got to see him play a few times and don't have too many living memories of him. But I do have some, including my first Major League game I got to see. So very cool. Have this in a 6. Thurman rookie. Super excited about that. And so yeah, let's move on to the last card I have in the sub. This was, I thought, the best condition card in the whole submission. 1974 Topps Hank Aaron #1. He's pictured on the first 5 cards, I believe, with the other 3 or 4 after this are the collection of past cards. Kind of in 4s on each of those cards, and this is #1. Where he's been proclaimed the new all-time home run king. A little before it happened, actually, which I think kind of adds to the allure of this card, and it's just obviously a unique card, and a card actually that they Topps honored this year in Heritage by making Aaron Judge card #1, calling him the new AL home run king with the single season record he did last year. It was actually a really cool thing, and the fact that his first name was Aaron just kind of made it a no-brainer, I guess. So I thought that was kind of neat. I was hoping for a 7 on this one because it's a really well-conditioned card. It's in good shape. I paid $30 for it at my LCS, and with the 15, so I'm in for 45, a couple more for tax. Bam. I got a 7.5 on this one. What a way to end this submission. When I was looking at the grades, scrolling down the list, kind of revealing it for myself on the SGC site, I was very surprised and pretty happy about this one. So comps on this are pretty decent, considering I'm in for 45. So between this and the Monty Irvin, also the Monty Irvin, I had it actually tracked on a spreadsheet. I paid $15 for that Monty Irvin. I'll bring that out real quick to kind of bookend it. I paid $15 for this card back in 2020. Came back a 5, and his numbers have actually gone up in terms of values the last year and a half, I'd say. I think he's sort of getting reappreciated all anew in terms of his contributions to the game and what he means to the game. So there you have it. Here's 2 cards for my 12 card submission that I was overall really pleased with, and there's my 7th SGC sub part 1. I've got 5 more cards to share hopefully later this week when my final national batch arrives from SGC. And with that, I'll wrap this up. Take care. Hope your week turns out awesome, and enjoy the August days of baseball. Things are starting to kind of heat up in terms of what we might be looking at in the September stretch run and even the playoffs. Now that the trade deadline's passed, got some interesting races going. So a couple of blowout races too, but we got some interesting wild card stuff for sure. Take care and see you soon.